Warm welcome to you from Geneva, Switzerland. I'm Rida Sadki. I lead the Geneva Learning Foundation. I'm very pleased to be your host for this first inaugural meeting exploring organizational partnerships for this certificate program on psychological first aid in support of children affected by the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. If you are would like to hear this in Ukrainian, we do have language interpretation on offer today, and very grateful to our language interpreters who are supporting us today. You can see the instructions on screen. Just look for the little globe for interpretation. Now it says French, English, but you should see a Ukrainian option. Now, just a reminder of what this is about. So this is funded by the EU's EU for Health program, and then done in collaboration between the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the IFRC, and the Geneva Learning Foundation. So here is, of course, the Ukrainian version, and I'll be sharing the slides for those of you who wish to go through them with the Ukrainian. So the first thing I'd like to do is really honor and thank the very large number of organizations that responded to this invitation. You have been, or individuals from all of these organizations have in some way engaged with our program. And here you can see the list, a very impressive list, a broad range of organizations, primarily organizations in Ukraine. So we first of all want to recognize and thank you for joining and expressing interest in in partnering with the certificate program. We'll explain exactly what that could mean now and in the future, but we were very impressed to see this level of response. Again, a reminder about who this certificate program is really for anyone, staff or volunteer or community member involved in supporting children affected by the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, and specifically education, social work, and health professionals. Hence, when you registered, we asked you the questions along those lines. Now, for anybody who's new to the program, you can find information on the page that is available in both English and Ukrainian. But chances are, if you receive the invitation to this meeting, you all know about this page. Just this is really one of the key resources to go to. If others in your organization are asking questions about the program, the best way to go is to encourage them to just register there to express their interest. Now, the purpose of today's meeting will be to introduce you as participants, but this time participants affiliated with an organization, and introduce you to this peer learning program to really discuss, and we have many questions for you on if and how your organization would like to be a partner with the Geneva Learning Foundation to get the most out of the certificate program, and then to look at the next steps for individuals who wish to engage their organizations. So again, a reminder, I think, I'm looking at the individuals who are with us. You may be already familiar with the program, but really we're looking at a shift from old to new learning and a new pedagogical model for new learning and assessment that we're implementing through this program that may or may not be quite different from from the types of learning that you have been involved with. So we did want to this time to present to you as potentially a representative of your organization, is certainly to present the certificate program and the first peer learning exercise in terms that we hope will be helpful, so that you can then share with your organization. Here is what the Geneva Learning Foundation, working with the IFRC, are doing, and here is why this might be of interest to us, not just to specific individuals, but to the organization as a whole. And again, our learning and the peer learning we offer focuses on activities, not content. Now, we do offer certification, and we have a very specific model for certification, and that is really to deliver what we call a credential of value to certify competencies, behaviors on the basis of the production of what we call an artifact. In the first peer learning exercises, of course, we had a case study. So we're now, as you know, if you've been participated in anything from the information briefing to the commencement event, we do like to ask you questions, and this briefing is about you. This time, though, we're asking you not as an individual, but we're asking you with respect to your organization, if you're staff, your employer, if you're a volunteer, the organization that you have made a voluntary commitment to. So we're going to make a marker first stop here to ask if your organization already offers training in psychological first aid for children. So we're going to go and invite you to speak if you see the option to turn on your microphone. That means that we're actively asking you to answer this first question. So this should be an easy one. Just raise your hand if you'd like to introduce yourself and your organization. There are 162 organizations that have expressed interest in this organizational partnership. So we'd love to hear from you. I suggest we start with Andre Isanou, who's one of our presenters at the commencement. Andre, are you able to speak to us? Asking you to unmute. Okay, and Sozan, yep, Sozan, you're welcome to speak as well. We'll go to Andrei Nikolov. Elena Andras, just asking you to unmute. You've got a question on the screen. I'll put it back in English. Want to know if your organization already offers training in psychological first aid. So please do. And this meeting we're going to be asking you many questions. So we hope that, and we know it takes in the peer learning exercises, it takes a few minutes for you for members of this group to respond. So please do raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and definitely, okay, Ella Petrenko, please do introduce yourself and tell us you have a question on screen.
Hello. I didn't quite hear.
Okay, Ella Petrenko, I'm asking you to unmute, but perhaps and then if you see the button, yes.
Oh, I've only just started, and I don't have any questions myself. It's just my mic was on automatically.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so I actually have a question for you. Can you introduce yourself and tell us if your organization you already offers training in psychological first aid and then psychological first aid for children? Okay. And I do see a question from Elena Andras. If we do not have an organization, do we need to attend this meeting? So this is about organizational partnerships. So the following meeting at the top of the next hour, we'll be focusing on the leadership circle, and that is for individuals who are interested in contributing to the program. Andrei Nikolov and Victoria Miova, you have a hand raised and a mic unmuted. We'd love to hear from you.
Hello. Yes, I am Victoria Migova. Uh, yes, she is asking if we can hear her. Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here with you. I represent the German Red Cross. This is Lower Saxony. And today we do conduct training for volunteers and those who want to provide psychological first aid. I have conducted this training in Budapest last year in summer, which IFRS offered. So we are using these skills, and we train other people. I have a trainer certificate, and so I'm here today in order to learn and acquire further skills for working with children. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. All right, so we have the next question for you. So, how does your organization, so German Red Cross, how do you support professional development? Obviously, specifically the professionals who are supporting children affected by the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine.
my organization supports me and others in every way. It is they who uh, uh, offered me to attend this webinar so that I could acquire more knowledge to help children and teenagers.
Okay, thank you. And so the question on professional development, let's see, there's many. Thank you, Ella Petrenko, for what you shared, representing the Bilozerski Center for Regional Development from the Kherson region in Ukraine. And you say your organization supports, brings psychosocial support to children and youth as well as their parents. And you have specialists who've been trained in first aid, in psychological first aid, I assume. Thank you. And Tatiana Nikitchenko, who's has really appreciate your support from the TGLF team, has just translated that. So very grateful for that. All right. Let's see. We have Yele Zaveta Akilina, who also has a hand raised. And we have a series of questions around the professional development and trying to understand basically how professional development works in your organization to determine then to begin thinking how a program like this can actually support not just individuals but also support the organization's efforts to improve support to children. So, Yelizaveta Akilina, a warm welcome to you. We have two questions. Please do introduce yourself first. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, I'm sorry, I'm outside at the moment, and I represent the organization Specialists of Ukraine, and we are working with internally displaced persons in Odessa and Odessa region. And we provide training in psychological first aid for those living in the region. So it's a mobile project because in Odessa there is a lot of psychological aid provided, but not throughout the oblast. So we are supporting children and adults, and the organization provides comprehensive support to those it looks after. We are developing all the time. We're looking for opportunities to seek sources of retraining like your own, and also uh, fee-based training. We also have provided training from the Israeli Trauma Coalition in psychological first aid.
Thank you very much. And so you see, could you tell us a little more about how your organization encourages and supports staff and volunteers, if there are volunteers in your organization, to learn and share experience in order to strengthen the support that the organization provides? Could you tell us about that?
Well, um, we use every opportunity to find contact with local universities and we provide training using local schools, but also using exchange and experience with other organizations. So, for example, we're working with a UN organization helping local organization and communications between them. And we are using exchange of experience between organizations, so networking and or between psychologists, social workers, and we meet and we discuss experience from every organization and this kind of format.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, let's go to Yana Kirokina Ipatenkova. Yana, a warm welcome to you. We'd love to hear from you. You've seen the different questions. Please do introduce yourself. And then, if you could tell us about how your organization is currently offering training in psychological first aid, how your organization supports professional development, and more specifically, how your organization encourages staff to learn and share experience. I realize that's a lot of questions, but first, do tell us who you are, what you do, and what is the organization that you are affiliated with.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hmm. My name is Yana. I work at Photosynthesis. It's an NGO in Zaporizhia. We write mini projects to train volunteers and our specialists in exchanging experience and we offer training and we invite other organizations providing psychological support to volunteers. We attend other events organized by other charities. And we organize team buildings and create circles in which we discuss problems. We offer briefings and also discuss within staff and support each other. That's one thing. And what's your second question? I see. So that's two questions really. So we provide first psychological first aid to children through sports, psychosocial support to children through sport because that uh, relieves tension and uh, incentivizes children to aspire to a common goal when they do sport.
Thank you very much indeed. We have Sozan Kassam who was having an issue with her microphone, so we're going to go to Sozan. A warm welcome to you. You've seen the first set of questions. We have many more questions for you. This is at least as much a briefing as it is a consultation to really listen and understand what your organizations are already doing, and then discussing together, exploring how by becoming partners of this certificate program, this can actually help your organization, help practitioners, and of course, ultimately help strengthen support to children. Sozan, a warm welcome to you. Do remind us who you are and what you do, and then you do have questions on your screen. I can repeat them if necessary.
I can see the first question that deals with uh, trainings that we may conduct in psychological first aid. Unfortunately, this is not the case, and we would appreciate if that would be the case if such trainings could be provided for our volunteers for children that are affected by the war, because there are some psychological conditions in place for both. Thank you.
Okay, Sozan, thank you
As
very
of now,
much.
we do not conduct such trainings.
I see. Okay,
We would
all
love
right.
to have them.
Thank you. Okay, Susan is
No
having a
problem.
problem. It looks like you're unmuted, so there must be something on your side that you have not done yet. We'll come back to you. We have, as I
Ah,
said, we have many more questions. Um, so thank you, Yana, as well. Some of you, of course, are alumni of the program, and we warmly welcome your participation. Others simply have expressed interest, may or may not have applied, may or may not know what it is exactly that we're offering. So, of course, if you're an alum, you've been through this. So this may be you may find this boring, but we did want to just give an overview of the peer learning exercises that we're offering in 2024 and give you a preview of what we have in mind for 2025. And again, we'll have some questions for you about that. So please, you do. We hope that you find this interesting and useful. So this is really, first of all, is that we know how busy you and your colleagues are. All right, and we know that you are short on time. So everything, every activity in the program is designed with that in mind. We're well aware of the fragilities and challenges that some of you are facing, and we are really striving to build a program that is fit for purpose and that can help practitioners in the most practical ways possible. That is one of the, let's say, foundational principles. Now, by participating in a peer learning exercise, which is one type of activity it is an opportunity to meet and share experience with fellow participants. And this is in, let's say, live peer learning and peer support sessions. And if any of you in the room are starting the new cohort 2 in Ukrainian language on Tuesday, you will see that the first 2 days are very intense and precisely about that. Now, the core focus, as we say, that in order to learn, uh, practitioners need to do something grounded in their experience. So this is very different from learning theory. It's really a way of learning and sharing practice in order to get better. So in what that means is, in a peer learning exercise, typically you'll be asked to produce something, in this case, a case study about a time you helped a child or children in distress. So even if you're already familiar with the program, and obviously if you're here today, it means you have some level of interest in it, I would like to ask you to think about your colleagues and about your organization, because the purpose of today's meeting is really about understanding if and how your organization could become a partner of the certificate program. So not just individuals who decide they want to do this, but actually the organization saying, this is good for our staff, and this is something that we support and want to be involved with. Now, in terms of the exercise itself, a key step is the step of peer review, in which each learner helps 3 colleagues improve their own case studies, and every colleague also receives, in principle, 3 feedbacks on that. So again, every activity is really focused on actively producing knowledge grounded in your experience. And then the final stage of the peer learning exercise is we ask participants to revisit their experience and revise their case study. So for the first, the pilot cohorts in June and July of this year, we had 873 applications, 371 were accepted. So this is a selective program, and 140 across the Ukrainian and English language cohorts completed the first cohorts. However, we limited the cohort size because of needing to understand and learn with the first cohort what would be best fit for purpose. This is part of the model of the Geneva Learning Foundation, to take the time to learn with practitioners to make sure that our program is really the best fit for your needs. So in the future, we'll be looking to organizational partners and saying, well, if you are an organizational partner, your staff, your volunteers will have priority access to activities offered by the certificate program, such as the peer learning exercises that I just described. So that is part of what we're hoping to understand through this. Through this. So in terms of individual staff, there are, I'd just like to highlight 3 benefits for, and I think most, we would agree that most, this is the type of benefit that you get from professional development, but this is specifically about peer learning across borders. So learning from colleagues facing similar challenges all across Europe, receiving feedback on your experience from more experienced colleagues, but also colleagues different from you in various ways, and then really developing both critical networking and critical thinking skills. So those are 3 of the benefits for individuals. And what I'd like to, the next set of questions, would like to hear about whether you see the peer learning exercise. I haven't told you yet about the other activities we have planned. How can this be useful to your organization? Some organizations already have PFA, so psychological first aid training, but those are technical trainings or skills trainings. Some have specific activities focused on teaching or training for PFA for children. Others do not. This peer learning program is complementary and can help with these types of both short-term and long-term impacts. So we do want to highlight those. If you think about your organization becoming involved and becoming a partner of the certificate program, well, these are some of the benefits for your staff. And then what we're interested in exploring today is really how this type of peer learning activity can help your organization. So this is the first question. I'm going to lower all the hands, and we're going to go back. And really, if you see yourself being unmuted and allowed to talk, do raise your hand if you'd like to answer this question. So can this peer learning exercise, as I've just described, help your organization? Why or why not? And that includes considerations such as Will your staff have time for this? Okay. I think, yeah. So Anna, let me see. So, yeah. So you do have, if you see that you are allowed to talk, please raise your hand or just unmute. We're going to try Suzanne again. Suzanne, are you there? Have you fixed your microphone issue? And thank you, Anna. Could you introduce yourself and tell us about a little bit about your organization's activities in this area? Okay. Thank you, Anna. And so I have a follow-up question for you. And Susan, your microphone is unmuted, so there must be a problem on your side that is preventing us from hearing you. Unfortunately, I suggest you type your messages your comments or questions in the chat. Anna, I do have a question for you. So, the peer learning exercise, as I described it, how do you think it can help you and other staff in your organization? In other words, how can it help your organization strengthen this, what sounds like this remarkable level of support that you are already providing? Do you think it can help you do better? And if so, how? Mm. Thank you very much indeed. And then one last question for you. In your organization, someone who participates in the peer learning exercise and who successfully earns a certificate, would that be recognized as continued professional development by your organization? Is this something you would recognize? Or would this be, well, it's nice that you did this, but it's not going to, we don't know how to recognize or consider this? Right. And I want to thank you very much indeed, Anna. Viktor Honcharenko, your microphone is unmuted. Please do introduce yourself. Okay. And that may not have been intentional. So, just want to thank Leticia Bertuzzi and others who are sharing their responses to the questions in the chat. That's a great way to do it because we can only hear from a few of you. And the same with a message from Ella, who says participation in this program is an opportunity for professional growth for the team and establishing professional ties with European colleagues. So thank you for that. Now, we do have one very important point, and this is where working with you, with your organization, not just with the individuals involved who are motivated, but really asking you to respond and think about this from the perspective of your organization. So, as you know, in the program, there are important considerations around safety, security, and child protection. And in the program, we've already established guidelines that are in line with international standards, with Red Cross standards, with the WHO standards around these issues. A lot is premised on the trust that as professionals we have to share and learn together. The child safeguarding, as part of the application, when anyone applies to this program, we ask you to confirm your agreement to the best practice principles from both internationally and in your country. And then, of course, we require you to fully respect and abide by any and all regulations, restrictions, any other requirements of your employer or government. So, having said that, the question that's where we would like to engage and hear from you, from organizations, if your staff are going to be participating in these peer learning exercises, we would like to know what are your concerns with respect to safety, confidentiality, and child protection? And are there specific issues, considerations, safeguards that you'd like to be sure are there before you can recommend to your staff that this is, and to your volunteers, that this is an important, worthwhile initiative, that they should apply, and if they are selected, that they should really go all the way to successfully earning a certificate. So these are complex issues, but I just wanted to put that on the table. This is really very important for us, and that's why I did not did not want to spend too much time. We'll share the slides, but have already put in a number of safeguards. But many of you work in the field, have organizations that are actually doing the work every day. So one of the reasons for becoming an organizational partner, it would be for you to to really help us ensure that this program is respectful, maintains confidentiality, and of course, above all, protects children. So is there anyone who'd like to answer this question? If you have any concerns in a program like this, which is online, in which things, experience is being shared, in which, of course, we ask for your permission in that respect. Is there anyone who'd like to answer this question or contribute some thoughts on this issue? Yes, Victor, you are once again unmuted. I don't know if it's...
Yes, I don't have any comments, but I agree with the principles and I'm ready to cooperate with your organization.
Victor, can you introduce yourself and introduce your organization?
Yes, I'm Viktor Honcharenko from Ivano-Frankivsk. My organization represents disabled people from Donetsk. We work with disabled people, and we also work in social care for children and education.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. And Victor, is a program like this something that you believe your organization should recommend that all staff and volunteers take if they're involved in supporting children? Yes or no? Why or why not?
I think it's a great program, and we need to promote it in our organization. Every member of staff needs these skills in psychological first aid for children and young people we work with. And I think it is necessary to develop staff on the whole.
Okay,
Thank
understood.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Victoria Voronkova, you have your hand raised, so please tell us what's on your mind. Thank you very much. And so, Victoria, for your organization, one more question before you go. Would you want to be involved? One of the reasons for why your organization may wish to become an organizational partner is because on these issues of respect, with respect to safety, confidentiality, child protection, as an organizational partner, we would regularly consult not just the individuals that are participating, but your organization to make sure that what we're doing is protecting children, is aligned with safety and security needs that staff, volunteers, and of course children and families in your organization may have. Would that be important and significant for you or for your organization? All right, wonderful. Thank you very much indeed, Victoria. Now, next, we're going to look at insights because not everyone has time to participate in peer learning. Not everyone has time to even take the peer learning exercise. So it takes time to share experience. And so what we do with insights, and this is something that we'll be sharing with organizational partners first. We'll always share back with the community and share openly. But as an organizational partner, you will be the first ones to receive and to also be able to give your inputs into something like this. This was the first insights report which we have just issued, and really this is compiling, analyzing what 873 practitioners all across Europe have shared about their experiences as caregivers and helpers. And so this is a resource which comes out of the experiences of the practitioners who participate. And this is a resource for experiential learning to support peer learning. And what we envision is that organizational partners will be the first to receive this, to access this, to be able to add inputs and tell us what kinds of insights will be most helpful to you. I also want to emphasize, just in case you missed it, that this is available now for download. This first insights report has already been released. But with partners, we'd also like to ask you, for organizations that become partners, to share with you toolkits that make it easy to then share out these insights with your staff, with your volunteers, but also with the broader networks that you may have in your city, country, region. And so we'd like to know, so this would be available. We already have a toolkit and a communication focal point, Amara Khan, that would be happy to work with the communication teams in your organization to really see how these insights can be shared out so that they can be put to use by practitioners. For us, learning is a means to an end to support action and to strengthen support. So that is really the one of the things we envision. The question then is how, for insights like these, do you see value in this? And then how could you share this with colleagues and in your organization and your networks? If there's anybody who'd like to comment, and I hope some of you have already seen and used perhaps this report, please do raise your hand. And again, what we do is really make peer learning, what we learn from peer learning, the lessons learned, if you will, available in this way. And we envision that organizational partners will be the first to access it. So please do unmute your microphone or just raise your hand if you'd like to comment on that. Otherwise, looking conscious of the time, I was hoping we could end at the 45-minute mark, but it's great that there have been so many comments and voices. I do want to acknowledge the Anastasia, the head of the NGO Dobrodom Dnipro, who says it will be important to be able to provide her staff with psychological first aid, or sorry, to provide the children for psychological first aid. So yeah, anybody would like to comment on the value of insights and exactly how to share them out in your organization? What could be most useful there? All right, otherwise we will continue. This is a new way of sharing knowledge through this program. So yes, and we'd like to work with organizational partners. All right, and Andrei Nikolov says it's really good to have a supervision system. So peer learning is different from supervision, but it can help with supervision because professionals connected to each other, who respect each other, who support each other, can actually help each other solve problems and do better. In as a in the face of complex challenges. So we now go to what's next for the program, and to then get into exactly what organizational partnerships are going to look like, and what are the steps to do that. So first of all, this peer learning exercise that I described earlier is part of what we call the full learning cycle. So this is a process not just to share knowledge and experience, but also to take that knowledge and experience and put it to use. Really, we look at a continuum of action from knowledge to impact and support that full process. The vision is in 2025 that we'll be inviting practitioners who are supporting children to develop a local project. So it maybe in the context of their organization, most likely, but also perhaps in the context of their community, to strengthen support to children. We'll be working with practitioners who are interested in doing so, in developing and using simple indicators to measure progress in health outcomes. And then we'll be continuing to learn with colleagues throughout Europe and really focusing on turning that shared experience into better practice and into these local projects. So a question I'd like to ask here and there, and we would see organizational partners as really key to this process, is would your organization support staff who come to you and say, well, I have this idea for how we can do something that we're not currently doing, or how we can improve something for children that we support. Would your organization be open to that? Can staff in your organization come to the leadership or to their manager and say, I have an idea, I'd like to try something different, try something new that we haven't tried before? Would your organization support that? That is a question, and that's a really important question for us to understand if there is that space within your organizations for that. All right. So Olena, yes, please go ahead, Olena.
Hello, I am Olena Filipova. I'm from Odessa, and I was very lucky to have been part of the first cohort this training was very useful for me. I am a doctor and I'm also a trainer. I work with teenagers, and I also worked with on a socio-cultural project, which I founded. And the mission of this training is true. I have seen improvement in my own work, and I have become better at diagnosing problems. Any problems to do with the students in my college, and many of them are children aged 15 and onwards who have had unpleasant experience with evacuation and living abroad as well, experience bullying and discomfort. And this affect their perception of teaching, of the new rules in their new place. And it was pleasant for me that in my college where I work, I approached the administration to ask them to develop a local project to open a psychological a relaxation room. And I thought it would not be a room, it would be an area in our library, a calm space where children can relax. We are looking for help from with organizing this space. And as for other kinds of work, after this training, I knew I was better at diagnosing problems. We've in our town called Chernomorsk in Odessa region. It's currently experiencing a lot of shelling attacks, and my work through play, through organizing an exhibition, I could see better the problems that children and adults are experiencing. And I thought that I had become better at helping them with triangulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Olena. All right, we're now, let me see, we're going to try again with Suzanne, and we have very little time left. So I'm actually now finally going to tell you what the next steps are and what does organizational partnership actually look like in practice. Of course, we're listening first, and we'll be following up after this meeting. Suzanne, are you now able to speak to us? Okay, wonderful. Yes. So do introduce yourself. Uh, So do you think so? You may be. It sounds like you would be personally interested in phase two, where we'll be supporting the implementation of local projects. Would your organization then also support staff to engage in this and to come up with such a project? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Now, I'm looking at the clock, and it's wonderful to have heard a number of your voices. Thanks to those of you also who's been sharing comments in writing. I now want to describe the two levels of partnership that we envision, and this is really the invitation to partner is also an invitation to co-create what a partnership is actually going to be about. As an education organization, for us, it is clear we want to actually support change on the ground that results in measurable improvements in health for children. And so we need to work with partners in order to figure out how to make that actually happen. So level one of a partnership is really addressing any individual, and we'll be reiterating this in the leadership circle meeting that follows this one, for you to become the focal point in your organization for the program. And that's about encouraging, supporting colleagues to apply, supporting colleagues to actually succeed in the program, and so on. And so this can be formal. if your organization, some organizations may designate you as the focal point, or it can be informal. This is something that you would like to do because you've experienced the program, or you've seen some of the outputs like the insights report, and you would like to really support it. Level 2 is to then actually secure the formal endorsement and partnership of your organization. So that is typically an exchange of letters. We want to keep things simple, but it's really to then be officially recognized as a partner of the certificate program. And just very quickly, I'm afraid, yes, the steps, to become a focal point. First of all, you need to internally, and this is critical, to confirm with your organization if you are allowed to serve as a focal point. For some of you working in government or in other contexts, you may not be. And so in that case, we would not want you to try to be the focal point if you don't have the support, or at least if your organization has reservations or any kind of consideration. And then the other option is for you to actually secure so that you are officially representing your organization. For example, for a volunteer, it may be actually more useful to serve as a focal point, having informed your organization knows, but you're not officially representing your organization because you are not a member of staff. And then whatever the case may be, once you've cleared that up, once you've secured that, then we'll ask you to complete the organizational partnerships application. And that is where that is a short questionnaire. And that is where you'll be able to tell us in what capacity you would like to serve as a focal point. And then our commitment is to get back to you as quickly as we can to confirm you, or if there are any issues, to engage you on them. So what does a focal point do? There are things you do in your organization and networks with your colleagues, and you can see 4 of them here. And that's not just dissemination and promotion, but it's also providing support, being there to respond, being the sort of point of contact for your organization, and to share new resources and new opportunities as well. And when there are opportunities, of course, as the focal point, we would come to you first so you can get the benefit of those opportunities. And of course, with TGLF, it's really helping us understand what the needs of your organization, what the needs of your colleagues are, so we can set up that really two-way dialogue to be continuously improving the program for you, but also for your organization. So that is with respect to focal points. I'd like to stop here. I see there is one hand raised. I don't know if that's an old hand or a new hand. If there are any questions, I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A. But that is, if you do have questions, please ask them now. We have actually 8 minutes left. So I am going to share then the second part, which is about formalizing, becoming really an organizational partner. So this is a complex set of slides with 8 minutes left. I would rather summarize and then leave a little bit of space for your questions. But really, if your organization, and you may be the person who can make that kind of decision. I know there's a number of chief executives who are here. But if you are not, then it's figuring out who within your organization can make that kind of decision. All right, let me see. We have one hand raised. Please go ahead.
It is Jana Silvers here. What if there is a psychologist who would want to become this sort of focal point for volunteers for children, not myself? Can we say that they are the candidacy?
Yes, absolutely. So, how each organization determines who would be the focal point is up to the organization. We may have a few requirements, but again, what we would one of the things we'd like to make sure is that the person wants to do this. Yes, and we're particularly we're expecting alumni to be amongst those who would respond. But we want to offer as much flexibility as we can, but to have that one person we can talk to, rather than trying to figure out who between the people who've taken the program, the management that we may have interacted with, who to talk to have really that focal point designated. And with respect now to the endorsement by the organization, so we'll share the slides so you can look at this. With just a few minutes left, we see a number of benefits of the organizational partnerships. And then, of course, we see ourselves contributing to the partnership in some of the ways that I've described. Some of them are itemized here. And apologies for going so quickly, because we really are running out of time. And at the top of the hour, we'll be starting the the leadership circle, which is really there in that case addressing individuals who are exceptionally committed and motivated. Now, the steps for your organization. First of all, there's a step for you who are attending this meeting, is to identify the decision makers who can commit the organization to becoming a partner of the certificate program. Now, one thing to clarify is everything about the partnership, whether that's a focal point or the formalizing the partnership, does not involve financial support in either direction. This program is subsidized by EU for Health, so unlike many high-quality educational initiatives, we do not ask for a contribution to the costs. And conversely, we would ask the organization that is making a commitment to cover the costs involved in supporting that commitment. So a little bit of staff time for the focal point, and probably staff time for the people who are taking the participating in the exercises. So the step 2 would be to present the certificate program to your leadership or management, secure their buy-in and support, and then really what we call a letter of endorsement or letter of partnership would be the way to complete that process. And from that point on, then we would be able to secure your permission to feature your organization, your logo, as a partner of the certificate program. We intend this to be quite an open, flexible, and not overly formal process. What it's really about is getting, making sure that the benefits of that individuals gain from the program really also serve the goals of the organization. So some people may seek professional development because they want to get better, and that is laudable, that is wonderful. We know that at the end of the day, it's the organizational capacity and the performance of the organization that is going to make the most lasting difference for the children and the families that we're seeking to strengthen support to. So just want to end, and I know we have only 4 minutes, but this is the last question we have for you today. What do you need to engage your organization in such a partnership? And of course, if you have reservations or questions of any kind, please do share them now. We'll be sharing the full slide deck so you can review this, and we'll be also asking you for feedback after this meeting, and following up with the specifics to apply to become a focal point, and to go through these next steps. So any questions at this stage? We have just a few minutes left, but really appreciate all the great inputs and comments so far. I'd like to ask Julia Bulic. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, but I know that there's a number of staff and volunteers, I believe, that have applied and will be participating in the next cohort. So, Julia, I don't know if you are able to speak now, but would love to hear from you. It's obvious that there is interest in your organization, from your organization, in the certificate program, and it's when we saw organizations with a number of staff applying. We'd love to hear more about sort of internally to your organization, what's led to your interest. If there are others who'd like to comment on that, you're welcome to. It looks like Julia may not be available. So we'd love to hear at least one more voice before we move to the Leadership Circle meeting. Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening. I would like to note that participation in the event is important, and training professionals is important. because we are living at a time when children do require professional support. We are hopeful that we will uh, get deeper knowledge of ourselves, and then we would be able to make use of them in our work with children, or working with our children in a professional way, and also with results in mind.
Thank you very much indeed. And in a way, that's the perfect ending to this meeting. Oh, I see Victoria has a question. So let's go to Victoria. We'll be moving to the leadership circle next. So whether or not you are, so first of all, if you're not affiliated with an organization, then please stay for the leadership circle meeting, because that is for individuals. And if you are affiliated with an organization, you're still, the leadership circle may be of interest to you. That's why we scheduled the two meetings in the same place. Victoria, please go ahead. You'll be our last commenter. If you have a comment or question, we'd love to hear you before we move to the leadership circle. All right, thank you very much indeed. And we're now going to close this meeting. Once again, thank you. There's been an amazing response. We did not expect this many organizations, 162 organizational names. There's probably some duplicates and so on in there, but we want to thank each and every one of you for your participation, for your interest, and we'll be following up by email for the next steps to get very specific and very concrete. We have, of course, a new cohort in Ukrainian kicking off on Tuesday, but the first round for organizational partners is likely to be with respect to the cohort in Ukrainian and English in November and December of this year. Once again, thank you and goodbye. For this meeting, you're welcome, of course, to stay on for the leadership circle. And let me switch over. We're now over time, and apologies for starting this meeting late. So